Hello there, folks. I am Rogue Dubs. Wanted to make a video here on my thoughts on the lack of a May update with Warriors Abyss, what I think is going on, my level of concern, I would say, and kind of a context of why myself and some others are asking about this or are, seemingly overwhelmingly talking about it, for lack of a better description. So, you know, first of all, I would say different studios have different levels of communication, right? I saw CD Projekt Red posted a picture that showed the exact percentages of which parts of their team are working on which games and how that changed over a period of 9 months, showing, Witcher 4, Cyberpunk 2, and then other projects, and then, unnamed FPS. So it's like, they clearly, maybe learning from some mistakes in the past, have decided to be more upfront with their communication. Some independent developers are very forthcoming about what they're working on, what their delivery will be like. And we're not used to seeing that with Koei Tecmo. So with Warriors Abyss, when we were getting these updates once per month, kind of at a good, at around the same time each month, and of a similar size, besides the most recent one, which added a new game mode and a new difficulty mode, things like that, we had an expectation, I would say fairly, that we can continue to see that. Now, was that realistic? Maybe not, um, but it does create that sort of tension of, this was the pattern. It is now broken. What does that mean for the future of this game? If it means anything. And it could not. It could just be that they're working on something a little bit larger. They're doing something, they're reallocated to different things. One thing I've seen online is that the Switch 2 is launching this month, and the Nobunaga's Ambition Complete Edition, as well as the Hyrule Warriors game, are on tap for them. So could be that they've reallocated some resources to those games. People say, "Oh, they're different teams." I don't know. I have no way of knowing if that's true or not. So if you know that in the comments, let me know. But that's kind of where we're at with that. And so for myself, having grown up playing these games, I'm not used to there being a lot of support post launch. We may get one patch. If something's really, really bad, we may get one patch. So this is the first game that kind of has a live service element to it, and it was receiving updates. So the tension for me is that support will be dropped and we will not be notified that it's been dropped. So that's kind of where I'm at as far as my tension. And that's just maybe some undue anxiety on my part. But you're looking at here the last two tweets that have come out of Koei Tecmo for Warriors Abyss, and they're just sort of generic ads, which is fine. But it does not assuage that concern of, are you still supporting this game? And the reason that we're talking about this too is that there are still people missing from the core roster of Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors, not to mention the incredible array of guest characters that could be added to the game. And for that reason, it was exciting to make content for this game. It's exciting to play this game because you have that view of where will this be, in 3 years, in 2 years, in 5 years, if they keep supporting it, So that's kind of why there's some tension for me, and I think in the community as well. I'm seeing a lot of posts on the subreddit, which is probably the biggest community of Dynasty Warriors games around. So I wanted to address it for myself. Personally, I'm not concerned. I still think there is support for the game. I don't think they would be advertising it the way they are if there wasn't. Another sort of tension point is that in the games industry, we do not have like they do in the movie business, where opening weekend You know what every single movie did. You know when something flops. You know when something is a huge success. You know when something made money. We don't have anything like that. We have Steam charts. We have what Game Pass decides to tell us is going on. We have, whatever metrics get leaked. There was this leak of Sony recently, and that exposed kind of what the sales were of certain Sony IPs. But for the most part, we don't know what's going on. And it's even more difficult with Warriors franchises, I would say. They'll post, I think Dynasty Warriors Origins sold 1 million copies. It'll probably sell about 3 million if I had to guess over its whole lifetime. Don't know what Abyss's numbers are. I will say, looking at the future of this game, I think a Game Pass edition would be massive for this title. So that would be something that would be a hope for me, kind of, sort of a wish list item. Let's expand the audience of this game. Let's get people interested in this game. And if you're going to support it long term as well, let's say it's on Game Pass for 6 months. And if it was off of Game Pass, then someone that was playing it on Game Pass might buy back in when you drop Ryu Hayabusa or Link or something crazy like that, right? So that's kind of all the thoughts that I had on this. I still think we're getting support. I don't think it's been dropped. I've seen there's been people saying like, oh, I know someone at Koei Tecmo and they're not talking about this game anymore. But that's kind of more around the hype of the Switch 2 release this week and the products that are coming out for Koei Tecmo. There's a lot going on. As there always is, it's a huge studio. But I'm at about a 3 out of 10 as far as concern goes. But still planning on playing the game on the channel. Still a lot to do, a lot to uncover. I will say another thing I'm looking at is, Traversal 6 needs some work. Like it's Ruinous Goma has way too much health. It's insane. It's way too much in my opinion. I think it's too tedious, even with a strong build. I understand we were doing very well before Traversal 6, but I think some adjustments need to be made to that. I think Depths of Torment could be looked at. Feels a little stale to me. And there's some balance changes that could happen too with other characters and some characters that need some love in a big way, Yuan Shao. And so those are just kind of my thoughts on the lack of a May update. Wanted to get something out there for you guys as far as what I'm thinking about it, because I know you guys are thinking about it too. So let me know in the comments what you're thinking. Again, not terribly concerned, but let's just see what happens and hope for the best. And I will keep my eye on these X accounts. That's where they post updates, and we'll just see what happens. All right, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow.